All Kenyans.
And
who's overstepping whose mandate? The bursary is a county function. She's then in the national. Why is she telling me what I should be doing in the county?
Kirinyaga governor up close and candid. Plus, the hidden gems of Kirinyaga, natural and man-made.
NTV Weekend Edition with Zeynab Ismail.
Our sign language interpreter this evening is David Agondoa. Now, police in Vihiga and Kakamega counties have launched a manhunt for members of a gang that murdered 5 watchmen at a trading center known as Kilingili in Vihiga County. The gangsters, described as armed and dangerous, are believed to be behind a spate of violent robberies in the area, including last night's heinous killings. Okukusa begins our coverage tonight with that story.
They were horrific scenes. Badly mutilated bodies lying in puddles of blood at different corners of the trading center. A sight that left residents reeling and grief-stricken.
Walikuwa wanakata tu kwa shingo. Wachumani watano shwali. Tufanye nini? Hata wengine tumeanza kuogopa. Wataanza kuingia kwa manyumba. Serikali ifuatilie, itusaidie Kilingili.
It is said that the attackers, whose actual number could not be established immediately, pounced on the unsuspecting night guards in the wee hours of the morning, killing 4 on the spot, while the 5th guard breathed his last at Mbale Hospital, where he was rushed for treatment.
Uone mmoja kwa mmoja, panga kwa shingo. Tutafanya aje? Tutaishi aje?
Some of the murdered guards, it appeared, succumbed to their injuries as they fled the scene of the attack. Their bodies were discovered on pathways leading to neighboring homes.
Nimeitiwa tu saa 12:30 mzee hayuko. Nikakimbia nikapata kweli mzee ameenda, amekufa. Sasa niko na huzuni. Sijui nitaanzia wapi, nimalizie wapi.
Those killed were Linus Anyika, aged 68, Francis Jojo Osayo, aged 65, John Ondachi, 63, Thomas Minao, 70, and 60-year-old Charles Kalume. Thomas Minao's family claimed that the old man had received death threats.
Na hiyo mambo wakati mzee alikuja kutueleza nyumbani siku 2, hii siku ya 3 ndio hii mzee hayuko.
Residents blame the police of failing to curb a runaway crime here at Kilingili Market, and they are now calling on the government to immediately transfer the policemen that are manning the nearby Kilingili police station.
Kwa hivyo hii polisi yetu haifanyi patrol. Ndio inaleta shida hapa.
Watu wanauawa usiku na polisi ndio hiyo. Alafu polisi yao wanakuja. Polisi gani hiyo? Makarau wote wataenda. Wataangalia maneno. Siabaki Kilingili. Wataangalia maneno.
The gangsters are reported to have staged another attack at a nearby market known as Ilungu, where they injured 2 watchmen. Okukusa, NTV.
Very unfortunate. Now, the bitter back and forth over the loss of funds for the construction of dams in Elgeyo Marakwet County continues. Deputy President William Ruto has told off his critics, saying the ongoing war on graft had turned political. At the same time, leaders want the Deputy President questioned of his claims that only 7 billion shillings of the dam funds was stolen. Daniel Mule reports.
Deputy President William Ruto is still pushing back against the torrent of accusations about his possible involvement in the 21 billion shillings Aror and Kimorer dams scandals. Ruto maintains this amounts to a political witch hunt.
The fight against corruption is carried out by independent institutions with the support of all Kenyans, using factual information, accurate details in courts of law, so that we can bring culprits to book.
The Deputy President has himself gone off his own script of keeping away from political banter, and he is now going after opposition chief Raila Odinga. This even as his allies come to his defense.
Profiling of government projects meant to benefit millions of Kenyans is in itself corruption.
Choka na maneno ya upuzi. Maneno ya damu hii mnakuja mnasumbuka naye sio kwa sababu mnatafuta maneno ya damu. Sisi tunajua ya kwamba wakati maneno ya JKA ililipuka, sasa mnajaribu kufunika na maneno ya damu. Tunataka tuambie nyinyi my friend, William Ruto ako na watu wao.
Sudi claims that the handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga was meant to fix 2022 politics.
Kama hutaki kwenda nyumbani, Mr. President, tell us, tubadilishe katiba, tukae chini, tuelewane. Lakini maneno ya kukoroga maneno huko kando, mnasumbuka sijui huyu, handshake sijui ile, sijui tunataka tushike huyu, sijui tunataka tufuguse huyu, kwa sababu mnatafuta William Ruto. Mimi nataka niwaambie kinagaubaga ya kwamba Wakenya sio wajinga.
We cannot afford to create a confusion in the country where it appears like part of the opposition is in government and part of government is in the opposition. If we are interested in peace, it must be genuine peace.
Wakati William Ruto alikuwa na support Raila Odinga, hakukuwa mwizi. Wakati alikuja akasupport Uhuru Kenyatta, hakukuwa mwizi. Saa hii bila anataka imefika wakati yake, mnasema ni mwizi.
Even then, leaders have continued to pile on the pressure. They want Deputy President questioned over his remarks that only 7 billion shillings was lost and not 21 billion shillings.
They are admitting that there is a problem, but now they are debating about the quantum of the problem. But why are you in a hurry to make that conclusion? Why aren't you allowing the investigative agencies to do it?
Bilioni 7 kwa Kiswahili ni milioni 7,000. Nyumba hii milioni 2 hapa. Nyumba hii milioni 2. Bilioni 7 nyumba ngapi kama Kisauni yote yanunuliwa hiyo, sivyo?
And as the DP, he should explain, how does he arrive at the figure of 7 billion? What interest did he have in that matter? The matter is under investigation. Where did he get the information?
Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Water denies that money was lost in the construction of Itare Dam in Nakuru County that has since stalled.
In Itare Dam, we have not lost a single cent. And I'm talking about the person who sits on the books. Itare Dam is a contractor. We contracted in 2015 who has gone bankrupt. And this happens all the time. And he has gone bankrupt for Itare.
The ANC party now says it will present a plea to the National Assembly Speaker to pass a motion of adjournment to discuss the issue of corruption as a matter of urgency next Tuesday. Daniel Mule, NTV.
And church leaders speaking separately added their voice to the debate on corruption and are proposing ways to end the corruption scourge. Listen to some of their proposed solutions.
If what we are reading in the papers is true, where is Kenya headed? And you know, this is a time we need to be bold and say, let us absorb what we can manage. Let us not go for what we can manage. Begin small.
If we brought all the monies in and brought it would cater for the debt that we have and also the budget of the country, and then leave a lot of money for us to spend.
A section of members of the Gakuyu Real Estate Limited, a company associated with the besieged David Kariuki Ngari, alias Gakuyu, want him involved in the sale of his properties. The members who sought audience with him at his Calvary Chosen Center Church in Ithika said they have bought land through his company and it is only him who can safeguard their interest in the sale. They say they are not opposed to the move by government to sell his properties, but they want him involved. Gakuyu on his part says he wants to take part in the sale to ensure his property is not sold at a throwaway price. Gakuyu says they did not steal their money, but he just borrowed it and is working towards refunding it by selling his property.
Asipohusishwa wakati mali inauzwa, wengi wetu pesa mashamba yetu itapotea. Na ikiisha potea, hatuna mtu mwingine tunaweza uliza. Tunaomba serikali ihusishe Bwana Gakuyu katika ile shamba, uuzaji wa shamba. Hata kama ni deadline apewe muda auze vitu yake na wale wanaohusika. Ili alipe kila mmoja wetu tuweze kuridhika. Sisi hatuna shida.
Pia mimi ninaomba hilo ombi ya kwamba nishirikishwe katika kuuzwa kwa hizo mali zenye zinaitwa zangu ama za Gakuyu. Kwa maana shamba zingine 50% ziko na watu ambao sio waekeza na mengine 50% ziko na watu waekeza. Nataka pia serikali ingilie hiyo mambo ili tusikue na shida nyingine tena ya watu ambao wataanza kulete ghasia katika barabara zetu ama maandamano katika barabara zetu tena.
Now, Professor George Magoha takes over the Education Ministry with public service experience and a wealth of academic achievements. Known for his pragmatic and tough style of leadership, he faces an equally tough assignment given the challenges in the education sector. Now, Professor Magoha has his work cut out. His first assignment will be to review the implementation of the competence-based curriculum, which is facing numerous challenges, including poor preparation of teachers, lack of teaching and learning materials, inadequate and weak supervision. Magoha will also be facing the nagging question of lack of funding for free primary and subsidized secondary education. He also has to deal with the shortage of teachers in schools and transfers. Another issue will be to tackle the congestion and resource shortage caused by the high Form 1 admissions. Professor Magoha will also need to deal with ongoing investigation by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission into a multi-billion shilling racket involving the supply and procurement of textbooks for public schools. Magoha also comes aboard as universities are embroiled in a fight with the regulator, that is the Commission for University Education, of accreditation of programs. For now, Professor Magoha's entry appears to be full as soon as he steps into his new Jogo House office. The only hurdle remaining before he occupies the space is vetting by Parliament. And still on the cabinet changes was Rashid Echesa's position in cabinet tenable. It seems the former sports CS may have long fallen out of favor with his boss over his endless gaffes. His most recent one, the public spat with opposition leader Raila Odinga. Echesa says he is yet to be informed about why he was given the boot, but NTV's Sharon Baranga explores why his goose may have been cooked.
Former Sports Cabinet Secretary Rashid Echesa may have accepted his fate, but is yet to move on.
Yale yamefanyika jana, hata mimi pia niliona kwa TV, and I'm also waiting to be told and be given reasons why I was fired.
But the signs that he was perhaps going to be substituted early were up, and that may have pointed to the possibility that his position was no longer tenable. President Kenyatta had once publicly took him on during his visit to Kisumu and to the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Museum about its desolate state, yet the museum's maintenance fell under his docket. Yet it was not the only brush with his boss. Echesa has been seen to make more political statements in public gatherings than policy statements, despite the president's directive to his cabinet to steer clear of politics.
Ile chumvi mzee Raila amekula dunia hii, mimi hata kwota ya hiyo chumvi mimi sijakula. Ninaomba kwa heshima kubwa, mzee Raila, toa jina yangu kwa mdomo yako. I'm not your equal. I want to tell Raila, with the position minus position, sisi Waluya tumechoka na wewe. Wachana na sisi kabisa, kaa huko, wacha sisi tunganishe watu wetu Waluya. Kama Raila sasa amekuwa ndio appointing authority in this country, I want to dare you, Tinga, wherever you are, come and sack me. Kuja unifute. Kama wewe ndio appointing authority leo Kenya hii, come and sack me, please.
Wakutaka siasa, waende siasa. Wakutaka kazi, wakuje waungane na mimi. Sini hivyo? Sio kuja hapa kuwaletea porojo na siasa ya dunia ambayo hakuna kitu ambayo itasaidia mtu.
He was in October 2018 involved in a brawl with Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala, who had accused him of paying some journalists to Photoshop his face against nude pictures. Malala now says Echesa is to blame for his current woes.
Ile siku Rashid aliteuliwa kuwa CS. Rashid alisimama mbele ya watu akasema, mimi nashukuru naibu wa rais kwa kunichagua kama CS. Ile siku ya kufutwa anasema ni Raila amemfuta. Nikifikiri yule ambaye anakuteua ndio yule ambaye anakufuta. Raila Odinga yeye ni kiongozi wa NASA na NASA haiko katika serikali. So ni makosa sana Mheshimiwa Washiali, Mheshimiwa Shinali kwanza kusema kwamba Raila amenyang'anya Rashid kiti. Mimi ningependa mkitaka kuuliza maswali ya Rashid, Yule mtu ambaye amefuta Rashid ni William Samoei Ruto.
Observers say the ex-boxer may have punched above his weight when he failed to read the signs of the time and took on opposition leader Raila Odinga despite his newfound partnership with the president.
Yale nimesema hapa, kama yatafanya mimi nirudi hapa nyumbani nikule mrenda, niko tayari kurudi hapa kula mrenda kwa sababu mimi nilelewa kwa mrenda.
Rashid Echesa was named Cabinet Secretary for Sports in the month of January last year. But he had to ward off criticism from the get-go. His education background put him at a disadvantage, yet he passed the much-criticized vetting hurdle to clinch a spot in the cabinet. Sharon Baranga, NTV.
And away from that, on the 9th of March 2018, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his fiercest political rival Raila Odinga publicly announced a truce and promised to work together to stop the country's slide into anarchy following a deeply bruising 2017 political contest. The meeting was a surprise following the name-calling and gloves-off punches that framed the dragged-out 2017 campaign season on the steps of Harambee House. The two leaders shut the door on the past and were walking shoulder to shoulder into a new future. A year on, we look back at the events preceding the handshake and its significance to the country. NTV's Seth Olale begins our week-long coverage.
The 2017 presidential election was a period of ever higher and more terrifying stakes.
Wakenya wamechukua hatua ya kuondoa utawala ya kiimla na kidikteta. Hakuna jeshi ambaye inaweza ikupatie uongozi wa taifa. Yule peke yake ambaye anaweza kukupatia uongozi wa taifa la Kenya ni Mwenyezi Mungu kupitia sauti ya wananchi. Tulisema hapo mapema ati wakipiga tutapiga. Sisi tunawaambia huyo mtu ya kitendawili safari hii tutamsort na tutamsort kabisa.
It was something of a street duel between end-time prophets, and at the end of it,
I hereby declare Mr. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta
Once again, as you all know, I have been here before.
the two main sides of the political divide were as far apart as ever.
The court can use this chance to redeem itself, or like in 2013, it can compound the problems we face as a country.
In the streets and in the unnerving walls of the Supreme Court, NASA fought what they claimed was President Uhuru Kenyatta's illegitimate win. The Supreme Court, in a rare ruling, set aside the election result, reframing the grueling political contest.
We are therefore satisfied that the petitioners have discharged the legal burden of proof as to squarely shift it to the first and second respondent.
We have a problem with our judiciary, but regardless, we respect, but we shall revisit.
It is our view that this court process is yet another milestone in our long road towards democracy, for which we have fought for so long.
In the meantime, both rivals were tripling down on their rhetoric, preaching to their bases in rallies. Public attacks, outbursts, and raw anger characterized both their styles. And their support were not immune to the divisions that they once swore to shield them against. But after long months of uncertainty, the two top rivals met for the first time in a surprise turn of events. On the steps of Harambee House, they announced a newfound partnership and the start of what they called a jointly led push for national unity. The political truce marked an about-face in Odinga's position, having refused to recognize Kenyatta's presidency.
I think we've managed to tone down our politics and have a conversation here and there about the issues that we face politically. But I think we have an economic issue that needs to be addressed, that is aside from the political settlement we have in the handshake.
The partnership was seen as unlikely, yet necessary.
People are able to wake up in the morning, go to their daily chores, come back in the evening, not fearing that they'll meet marauding gangs on the road to molest them, to hurt them. And those who are pro-Mapambano need not worry that they will be slayed by the bullets.
Since then, the two leaders have been on the same page on a number of national issues.
This dragon, this beast called corruption, is an animal that we intend to slay.
Those who steal from us and who then give back partly out of guilt and partly to buy our admiration and silence are seen to be generous or development conscious, even when we know they are not.
Despite the cheers of affirmation, there were disgruntled groans.
Hatuwezi kuwa tunazungumza mambo ya siasa na viongozi na vyeo kila mwaka nenda, mwaka rudi.
Some observers are also of the view that it may have also considerably weakened the voice of the opposition.
Hata wewe ukiwa na mbwa yako kali kabisa kila siku inabweka, siku ile na nyamaza, ujue na mfupa kubwa kabisa inakula.
Why shouldn't Deputy President Dr. William Ruto's people be unhappy? After all, this government belongs to the Kalenjin and the Agikuyu. TNA, predominantly, stronghold is central Kenya, Mount Kenya region. People don't want to be honest when they're saying these things.
A 14-member team from political, religious and academic backgrounds was put together to look into ways of addressing issues such as ethnic antagonism, inclusivity, devolution and shared prosperity. It has been collecting views across the country. Despite plenty of unanswered questions on the handshake a year later, Kenyans at least appreciate the end of animosity and the calm that has been restored across the country. Seth Olale, NTV, Harambee House, Nairobi County.
All right, and be sure to tune in to NTV for the next 1 week to get a glimpse of what had transpired before, during and after the now famous handshake. We're going to take a very short break, but when we come back, we'll be bringing you that exclusive interview with Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru and what it means for her to be a woman in power. All right, thank you so much for staying with us. Let me now hand over the baton to my colleagues in Kirinyaga County, Olive Barrows and Edmund Nyabola, who are braving the cold to bring you all about that county and other stories making headlines. Olive and Edmund, Muriega.
Zeynab, thank you so much. We are coming to you live from the Savage Wilderness Camp here in Kirinyaga County, where we are spending our third night, of course, ahead of next week's Devolution Conference, NTV On the Road Mushere edition.
And actually, Zeynab, it's not cold, it's actually quite balmy, and that's why I can afford to show off a bit of a shoulder. We spent most of the day out on the water with most of the crew tipping over, and they're now drying off, but it was all in good fun.
But I'm a little sore because Olive let me do all the paddling work as she sat there and just looked pretty.
That is a matter for contestation, which we will settle later. But what isn't in contestation is that Kirinyaga County is going to host the 6th Devolution Conference. And so I sat down with the host, Governor Anne Waiguru, for a candid chat, and she spoke on a number of issues, including what it means to be a woman in power, her perceived rivalry with Kirinyaga woman representative Wamboi Ngirishi, and she, is it Wangoi?
Wangoi Ngirishi.
Wangoi Ngirishi, yes. And she explained why she holds Martha Karua in high regard. No topics were off a limit, including the steps she's taken to guard against graft in the county, and on a personal note, the speculation on her relationship status. Here's that interview. Well, we're joined now by the governor of Kirinyaga County, Ms. Anne Waiguru. Soon to be Mrs. I hear, but that's a conversation for another time. What brings us to Kirinyaga County is the Devolution Conference. Now, you, in 2013, you started out as Minister of Devolution. Now, for 1.5 years, you've been governor of Kirinyaga County. How have the people of Kirinyaga benefited from that experience, having been on both sides?
I think the people of Kirinyaga have benefited because I haven't spent time learning what devolution is. And so from the first day I got into office, I knew what needed to be done and how it is done. And that's an advantage for someone who has been in the civil service and also who was part of the team that crafted the devolution concept.
This devolution conference is themed around accountability. Now, you talked about having worked at the Treasury. You also, I believe, worked at some point with the World Bank. In terms of transparency in the management of county funds, how has that experience influenced how you've approached Kirinyaga's county funds?
From my experience, I think I understand it a little bit more better than many people who haven't been interacted with those systems in a personal way. For example, the IFMIS system, I know it backwards. So it's very difficult for anyone to cheat me, you know, to tell me anything, because I'll just tell them I want to see. I mean, just open, I want to view what are my balances, I want to see the vote book. Let me see what you've been paying. So for a governor like me, it's very easy. And it's difficult for people in my team to do anything. And so in terms of integrity and accountability in the use of resources as far as systems are concerned, that I think we can manage fairly well. We've taken the whole of our team for training. I took all the directors and all the CEOs and all the CECs for an IFMIS training. I said, you need to understand how it works so that you're accountable for the resources that you're given in your departments. And they really appreciated it, and it's changed the way we operate.
You did launch the Mountain Cities Blueprint, and this is to cover 15 years if I have my information accurately. How far have you gone in that endeavor? Because there was to be a resort city, yes. There was to be a green city, there was to be, let me try, what was it?
Health and wellness.
Industrial and
yeah.
Health and wellness.
Yes. The resort city, that is the one that will have the biggest challenge, and the reason being, we wanted to build a hotel round the dam. But the mistake we made is we announced it. We should never have said it, because when we went to look for the land and the investors were interested, the owners of the land tripled 4 times the price. So it's given us a little bit of a setback. But what we want to do is around the dam that's going to be built, hopefully again, we're dependent on the national government, it's going to be built on time. We will have a golf course, and then we'll have a hotel. Now, it is not just for the sake of having a hotel. We understand that, like now we are having this devolution conference. It's very important to have those kind of places, because it's when those people who come there are usually the ones who end up being investors in your county. Something will have come would have brought them to Kirinyaga. They would have come to see something, to buy coffee. When they come to buy coffee, for example, they've come from Australia and they come to Kirinyaga, they have to go and sleep in Nyeri or Moranga. So it would be a good place to sit and explore other opportunities that will be provided.
I want to get into how the county politics has impacted your ability to deliver, because you have these grand plans. But then we see reports every now and then that there is acrimony between yourself and the woman representative for Kirinyaga County. And before that, you know, you have very many strong-willed women in Kirinyaga. There was a court process that you went through with Martha Karua. How has that impacted your ability to deliver?
Actually, it hasn't. And maybe I should say there's no acrimony, at least not on my side. I guess Martha, my view and how I see it is she's pursuing her democratic right. If she feels that she has to go through up to the Supreme Court to believe that I won, then so be it. It's her right, and I do not hold anything against her because of that. And it doesn't at all consume me. I don't go to court. I only go for rulings. So I don't spend too much time on that. I have a great team that handles that aspect, and I'm confident that they will deliver. So far, they have. With regard to these other issues like the recent situation with the woman rep, I think I wouldn't call it acrimony because it's not on my side. I think I just don't understand. I think there's a sense in which politicians think that for you to get where you need to go, you need to pull down the one who's up there so that you can have that space. And I try to stay away from it as much as possible. So if an incident happens, it's unfortunate. We've had two so far, two big ones, but they don't deter my work. My work continues, and that usually happens in a political environment in the sense that we have gone for a public meeting. One is when the deputy president was here, and the other one was I was supposed to be chief guest at issuing of checks. So all I just said, don't call me again for your checks, I will give out mine, and let whoever wants to give their checks give theirs. So, and that's it. I mean, we will get into campaigns and politics in 2021.
She accused you basically. The reason she says she stormed it is because you are overstepping your mandate. That it's not the county government's business to interfere in national government projects. And then, of course, she did raise the issue of bursaries, saying you should not have cut down the bursary amount from 70. I think I saw a story like that, from 70 million to 20 million without consulting the MCAs. Have you overstepped your mandate?
Let me just say something about bursaries. Who's overstepping whose mandate? The bursary is a county function. She's then in the national. Why is she telling me what I should be doing in the county? Right? The second thing is, there is no such thing as, and I don't know where they got it from, that there is national and counties. There's two executives. The Constitution says there's two levels of government. There is the national level and the county level, right? In the national level, you have the president. In the county level, you have the governor. That's why even when you have the devolution conference, the president comes to have a conversation with us on how we are collaborating in delivering of services. I have 14 services given by the Constitution. He has 47. But he cannot implement his 47 without me. He cannot implement his big four, his health, is food security, is trade, is housing, without county governments. So we are both in the executive. There's no such thing as overstepping mandates. That invitation was given by the national government. I'm sure they knew why they were giving they were giving us to do it. Secondly, look at Nyeri. It was the deputy governor who's a woman who gave those checks. Look at Nairobi, it was Sakaja, who's a senator, who gave those checks. And the checks are given every month. So you'd give, this time you make this person the chief guest, next time you make somebody else. So there's nothing about overstepping mandates there. And I don't think that the executive and the executive don't collaborate. Let's look at street lighting. We have to agree on where the street lights are. Even if she asks for them, I would have to okay them because I pay the bills, right? So the national government will put the lights, but the bills are paid by me. I'll give you a final example. Any function you have seen, whether it's a deputy president or our president, who sits on the left of the president? It's the governor. It's not an MP. You don't say because he's in the national, then he sits only with members of parliament. It's the governor who sits there. Who speaks is the governor.
You spoke about integrity. You made reference to integrity. You've made also reference to ifness. Now, on your Twitter account, at least on 2 occasions, you have called on the EACC to investigate and interrogate this affidavit by Kafura, which they've established was phony. Yesterday, the EACC, newly appointed EACC CEO said it'll take some time, and just because you're a governor, it will not get special treatment. Are you asking for special treatment?
Of course not. I mean, it's 3 years. All these investigations that are being done, they are done within 3 months and people are in court, isn't it? They have already actually finished investigations. That wasn't the issue. They had even handed the file and put it in a report that they have confirmed that this affidavit was bereft of truth, right? So that's not the issue. The issue is for you to have established that, then you know who wrote it. That is the only question I keep asking. Why is it that you're not making it public? Who was behind it? How powerful is this individual, you know, or persons? Why are they untouchable? And it's a question I will ask until I get an answer. And it doesn't mean that I don't know, or we don't know. We've had rumors, we've been told, but they know, because by the time you're saying it's a lie, that person who sits in front of you and you have questioned them, you know who told them to write or who gave them, because the person themselves were incapable of writing that document. That document was written by intelligent people. People who sat and not, I don't believe it's one person, you know. We know who distributed it to the media. And it cost me my reputation. And so I will not keep quiet. It is not a favor I am asking for. It is their duty. If I had been found guilty, I would be at this point in court, wouldn't I? Why is it so difficult to take whoever that person is who wrote it to court and let me know that this is the person who wrote that affidavit? So I will keep writing. I'm not asking for a favor. And those letters are not signed Governor. They are signed Anne. My lawyers say, my client, I ask as a Kenyan, every Kenyan is entitled to justice, every one of us. Whether you're a governor or a farmer or a teacher, or you're entitled to justice. And if you feel there is an injustice, you have a right and entitled by the Constitution to request for that justice to be done. And that's what I'm doing. I will ask and I will keep asking until I get an answer, because my children want to know. My mother wants to know. It cost her a lot of pain. She wants to know. And I would want her to know when she's alive. I don't want that story to come out when she's not here. So we will keep asking.
As we wind down, you had said that the county politics has not affected your ability to deliver. You've been able to carry out your mandate. But is there a thorn in your side, perhaps, as governor, that has, made the transition less seamless?
I think, let me just say, it's not easy managing politics every day and governing. That's been a bit tough. You know, when you're a technocrat, you're shielded. So somebody else handles the politics. The politics usually the president, the deputy president, and parliament, right? But when you come here and you're a governor, you can't just wake up and say, I'm going to grade this road. You know, it can be a noble reason, but there can be an objection from either someone from here or somebody from elsewhere for whatever reason. Somebody may decide, I don't want them to grade that road because if they do, they will get too much mileage, they will be re-elected in 2022, so we must stop it. Somebody else will just be sincerely thinking it's not necessary. And you can put priority in something that is more urgent. And then those political interests sometimes clash. And it can be a bit tricky managing it. And that I can say has been, for me, the difficulty in running a county compared to running a technocrat's office, RCS's office, and so forth. I think that takes some learning and takes a lot of patience and takes a lot of will to want to continue, you know? Sometimes you sit down and say, I don't know whether I can do this anymore. But sometimes you say it's worth it. When you meet them in the streets and they tell you, Governor, you're doing a great job, thank you for helping us get this done. I think that gives you the incentive to say, let me do it for another year. Let me do it for another 3, you know. Let me just, you know. But it's not easy. And then it's not easy for a woman. Let me just say that. It is 3 times, 4 times harder for a woman. You have to balance the family, you have to balance your own, you're judged 3 times harsher. A man will get away with anything. I mean, literally anything. A woman will get away with nothing. You know, you make one small mistake. The reason why people keep talking about this altercation between when my woman rep walked into my meeting is because we are women. Men do that all the time. Nobody even bothers to cover it. you know? But because you're a woman and it's you being, you're told explain. And you see, you're asking me to explain and I'm not the one who did it. You should be asking the person who did it to explain. So you're asking the recipient of the grievance to explain. But why? Because I'm a woman. You know, women are expected to be superhuman beings in every respect. When you show up, your hair should be fine. You should look good, your makeup should be perfect. If it's not and it's out of place, there'll be a conversation on social media. Your English should be correct. You should be able to answer your questions perfectly. Never make a calculation and make a mistake of either answering wrongly or not, because you will be judged 4 times. Harsher. So I think that can be difficult for women, and maybe that's why we ask for the affirmative action. You know, most people don't understand that society has never equalized us. It's a fact. Society has never equalized us. We're not in a position where women get exactly as men. Not yet.
And do you think maybe that's why, I know you're going to have to apologize, I mean, I need to apologize in advance, but do you think perhaps that's one of the reasons why there's this undue attention as to your marital status?
I don't know. I don't even forget the issue of the marital. I think there's always been attention on me. Let me put it that way. And it's the attention on women. You know, I don't know. I think that's it. I think we are still a very patriarchal society. And I must thank the people of Kirinyaga, by the way. If there are women, there are people who recognize women leadership, it's the people of Kirinyaga. And as much as you may find this shocking, one of the people I thank for that is Martha Karua. I mean, she was a member of parliament in Kirinyaga for 20 years. That changed the way Kirinyaga people see women leadership. She broke that glass ceiling for us. So it was easier for me to present my candidature as a woman as opposed to other places. I don't think the attention on my marital status is just because of gender. I think also for me, it's just me.
So is there cause for celebration?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, it's public. Yeah.
Thank you so very much. You've been a very gracious host, and she's even indulged our more intrusive questions. There you have it, our candidate interview with Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru. Thank you.
Stand by 11.
Time to take a break.
Did you enjoy the interview at least?
I did. She was very gracious. I wasn't lying about that.
That question about whether she's engaged for real or...
No, she is. She said it's in the public domain.
When's the wedding?
She said, harusi tunayo.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we have a lot of stories from this county.
Thank you for staying with the NTV Weekend Edition. We're at the Savage Wilderness Camp, and as they have rolled out the red carpet for us, so has Kirinyaga County, and will starting tomorrow welcome visitors, including President Uhuru Kenyatta, for the week-long devolution conference.
Now, Kennedy Mureithi is live for us from the Kirinyaga University. That's the venue for that conference, which begins tomorrow. Ken, very quickly, tell us what to expect when the conference opens tomorrow.
Well, thank you very much, Edmund. I am still at the Maya Gardens. We can't still get enough of this place. But at the end of the day, what matters is what is starting tomorrow. That is the devolution conference. And what it starts with is the fact that tomorrow, the whole of it, all the delegates who've been invited to this function will be registering at one of the schools here, and that is what will be happening the whole day tomorrow as they wait for President Uhuru Kenyatta to officially open this conference on Tuesday. And that is where we do expect probably President Kenyatta either will come to this particular county, that is Kirinyaga County, county number 20, or he will do as he did in Kakamega, whereby he addressed the people who are at that particular point through a video link. So we are not very sure on what President Uhuru Kenyatta will be doing. But tomorrow also we do expect that there is going to be a football match. Probably Edmond, who has so much experience in football and sports matters, is going to give us a detailed coverage of that. But tomorrow we do expect there's going to be a football match. But what do we expect probably from this devolution conference? There are so many things that are pending, and we've also seen that President Uhuru Kenyatta, through the meeting that he has with governors and also the Deputy President William Ruto through IBEC, there are some things that are still pending, and one of them is the money to counties, money that is forwarded to counties. The governors have been complaining that money that is being forwarded to counties is taking a very long time, and some of them are even complaining that every time that they go to the National Treasury, they have to part with a few shillings for them to be served at the National Treasury. And this has become a serious matter. The matter that is with regards to the disbursement of funds, and some counties are still saying that it has taken some time before they even pay salaries or even they initiate development. As we have also seen, the Auditor General or the Controller of Budget is not cutting them any slack, because each month that they do not cut, each time they do not set aside some money for development, then it becomes a problem. But we also do expect that the medical equipment that is being forwarded to counties is also a matter that is going to feature in this 6th devolution conference that is going to be held at the Kirinyaga University. Also, we do expect that the census that is going to be held this year is also going to feature predominantly as governors. It will be one of the few times that governors from all the 47 counties are going to congregate in one place, probably with also their officers, the CEC members, the CEOs, and all of them who are going to come here. Then we do expect that it is also a matter that they will be discussing. The politics of Mount Kenya. You remember that Moses Kuria has also said that he will be coming into this matter and he will be contesting the 2022 elections. We've already seen at the entrance of Kirinyaga County, he has put billboards whereby he expects, in the billboards, as we'll be showing you tomorrow, is that he says that he's welcoming people to Kirinyaga County and to the larger central and eastern region. What do we expect of this? What are the politics? What is it that ails the region that is Mount Kenya that is going to be discussed? These are some of the issues that we'll be looking towards, and probably Governor Anne Waiguru is going to be an integral part. We also do expect to hear from the women rep of this region, who is also a pillar to reckon with regards to the region politics and all. But we'll be keeping a keen eye from NTV when it will be opened by President Uhuru Kenyatta to when it will be closed officially by His Excellency Deputy President William Ruto on Thursday. Raila Odinga is not on the program, but we also do understand that he said that he will not be available for this particular thing. Right back to you in studio.
Much Kennedy Mureithi for that update. Now, the county government of Kirinyaga is intent on claiming its stake in the Mount Kenya tourism circuit by opening up access to the mountain through its own route.
This is part of a multi-pronged approach in increasing the number of tourists, both local and foreign, to experience the unique offerings in the county. NTV's Brenda Wanga has more.
It would pass for just any other lodge nestled on the edges of Mount Kenya forest, but this lodge is intrinsically linked to the country's history and ties to her former colonial masters. The aptly named Castle Forest Lodge is over 100 years old. It was constructed in 1910 specifically as a retreat for royalty who visited the then colonial protectorate.
Queen of England has stayed in this room, in some rooms upstairs, where she had a good view of Mount Kenya. Sasa imekuwa hoteli.
It fell into ruins and was rehabilitated and restored in 2000. And now this quaint lodge has expanded to host 40 guests. The main attractions here, the unobstructed view of the mountain and the rich vegetation that is home to a variety of wild animals. This lodge also serves as a base for those seeking the thrill of climbing up Mount Kenya, and from this starting point, an adventurer will take about 4 days to get to Lenana Peak on Mount Kenya. The route to the mountain from this side of Kirinyaga is yet to be developed properly, but it is the ideal one for those seeking the road less traveled up Mount Kenya. That mountain and the rivers that flow from it are another source of attraction that this county prides itself in. The waterfalls, often accompanied by caves that are an adventurer's dream. Many of the caves provided the much-needed cover for the freedom fighters during the Mau Mau rebellion. The same rebellion also left the county with relics that are now attracting visitors. Located inside a primary school, the remnants of a colonial camp. This cell used to hold Mau Mau fighters who were captured up the mountain before they met their fatal fate.
Hii cell ni ambayo tunataka iwe upande wa tourism. Wale wageni wanatembea ndio wakunja wanjue vile uhuru ulipiganiwa na vile walikuwa nasumbuliwa.
The tourism industry in this county earned over 300 million shillings in bookings only last year. The county intends to show up these numbers by opening up more sites and completing the Mount Kenya tourism circuit. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
Now, it was a song composed by a love-struck Tanzanian musician in honor of a beautiful Kenyan girl.
That girl, turns out, hails from this county, and today NTV's Jane Ngoiri went out in search of a fro. And what's the term? Mtoto wa Sagana. Mtoto wa Sagana. And we'll be telling you what she found after this break.
Now, welcome back to NTV Weekend Edition. Here is that story we promised you. It was a song composed by a love-struck Tanzanian musician in honor of a beautiful Kenyan girl.
That girl, turns out, hails from this county. And today, NTV's Jane Ngoiri went in search of Afro, what is it, Mtoto wa Sagana.
Yes.
And here is what she found.
Eighteen, 86. Ndio wimbo huu alimbiwa. Hata mimi nisituka, akaniambia baba, usikia radio utasikia mimi niko. Nikamuuliza huyu anakuimbia hali yake nini? Akaniambia ni wimbo wananiimbia kwa maana ni ile mapenzi ya vijana. Siku moja aliniambia na nini ana kazi ni yake ya hiyo Ingereza. Ukiolewa na nini wa mwimbaji utaishi mzuri. Watu wa muziki ni watu wa raha. Kwa hivyo usifanye urafiki wa kuolewa na yeye. Hata nasikia wakisema nitakwenda kwa baba yako tukasalimia. Hakuja hapa, hakuletwa. Tukasalimia tu na ndandanda, hakuletwa. Hata ndiko namuuliza huyu Afro, na hii wimbo sasa unaimbiwa na huyu mtu anauza hiyo nini nyimbo, hakuna kitu anakupatia, hakuna. Unajua watu wanaume naye iko madharau zaidi nikiwa mmoja. Iko madharau. Sasa aliona atajirike mwenyewe. Mwisho akaolewa. Basi sasa tukaacha habari. Sasa ile maneno ya kuimbiwa nini? Sasa tukaendelea, alipata bibi, alipata bwana, akaolewa. Nikapewa mali, nikanyenya mali. Sasa nikiwa na furahi. Sasa mzee wangu akaingia huko. Akapewa sasa akapatiwa watoto 3 huko. Alipatiwa.
Sagana.
Are you familiar with the song?
I think I'll need a little help, but stay tuned. We have a band to perform that song for us. But after the sports with Ida Waringa.
Dry Fresh deodorants. A very good Sunday evening. Welcome to NTV Sport with me, Ida Waringa. Let's get right into it. 2009 Kenyan Premier League champions Sofapaka left it late to earn a 1-0 victory over KCB FC at Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos. Ugandan Umaru Kasumba's 85th minute penalty proving to be the difference. The sport kick takes Kasumba's tally to 7 goals so far this season, while the victory leaves Sofapaka in 4th position with 27 points and KCB 12th with 16 points. In the day's other result, Zoo FC beat Posta Rangers 1-0 at the Kericho Green Stadium to register their 3rd win of the season, thanks to Newton Ondari's goal in the 43rd. Meanwhile, KPL announced that the mid-season transfer window will open on Monday 11th March and close on Monday 8th April. While Kenyan champions Gor Mahia will look to get their first away win of this CAF Confederation Cup season when they face Algerian side NA Hussein Dey in Algiers in their 4th Group D match with kickoff just a few minutes away at 10 p.m. Actually, it has kicked off about 3-4 minutes ago, but Gor head coach Hassan Oktay will look to finish the job over the Algerians after Kogalu beat Hussein Dey 2-0 last weekend, courtesy of late goals from Francis Kahata and Jacques Tuisenge. The Algerians had promised a hostile reception for Gor in their capital after ugly scenes were witnessed in Kasarani last Sunday when they invaded the Kogalu bench in anger following the 2nd goal. Gor lead the group with 6 points from 3 games, and a win against 2nd place Hussein Dey will be a step closer to progressing to the CAF Confederation Cup quarterfinals for the first time in the club's history. Of course, the other teams, Zamalek SC has beaten Petro de Luanda in Angola 1-0. But let's cross borders to the EPL, where Liverpool missed a chance to reclaim a top spot in a barren derby stalemate against Everton. Liverpool could not break down a stubborn Everton, with the Reds missing several chances to go ahead. take over the lead on the Kenya National Rally Championship standing. Baldi won 4 out of 5 stages and led the rally from start to finish. Chagar savored a cumulative total of 1 hour 30 minutes and 44 seconds to win the KNRC2 event by a 36-second margin over 2-time reigning African champion Manvir Barian, navigated by Drew Sturrock, who came second in a Skoda Fabia R5. Defending champion Carl Flash Tundo completed the podium place as well. In the absence of Onkar Rai, who won the season opening Nakuru rally, Chagar takes over the KCB KNRC lead on 43 points, while Tundo retains a second spot on 39 points. That wraps it up for sports. I'm Ida Orenga. Enjoy your evening.
NTV Sport in association with Nivea Dry Fresh Deodorant.
That sporting action. Well, this is where we end our bulletin, but I leave it to my colleagues Olive Bowers and Edmond Nyabola, who are still in Kirinyaga County. And I'm sure they have a very interesting evening for us. Well, that's it from my side. My name is Zeynab Ismail. Good evening.
Thank you so much, Zeynab. We promised you music, and we end our 4-day stay here in Kirinyaga County on a high note, quite literally.
We are here with?
Unbad.
Unbad? Okay, Dan, take it away.
Afro Kirinyaga sagana usiniweke pembeni mama, ingawa wako wengi wazuri mami, lakini nimekuchagua wewe. Tabia zako sawa na sura yako, nimeridhika kuwa na wewe mama. Sagana unipeleke mama tukawaone baba na mama mengine mengi sisemi mama uamuzi na kuachia wewe, mwisho na kuombea salama Afro, mpaka siku tutapona na mama. Afro Kirinyaga sagana usiniweke pembeni mama, ingawa wako wengi wazuri mami, lakini nimekuchagua wewe. Tabia zako sawa na sura yako, nimeridhika.